Today I'm going to pair the newly released Brushed Metallic Cardstock with our gorgeous 3D embossing folders and versatile pigment inks. Stay tuned! Hello and welcome to Creative Coloring with Erum. Today I am using a few different pigment ink colors on all the different Brushed Metallic cardstocks that Altenew has recently released. The cardstock is beautiful to use as is, but I love creating grungy textured cards and I have been meaning to do this forever. So I have a bunch of different 3D embossing folders here. The look works best with something that has more of an area to show. But I still have a geometric embossing folder with me because I wanted to try all the different types of embossing folders. I have these panels cut out here. These are 1 inch smaller than the card base. You can go with any layouts you want to. I just wanted to keep my cards super simple. For the first panel, I picked up the Areca Palm 3D embossing folder and I will use the Jet Black Pigment Ink and apply it inside the folder onto the side with the text on the front, as that will give me raised leaves. If I would have chosen the other side, I would have ended with debossed leaves. Those would also look nice, but again, it's your preference. So after running it through the die cutting machine, clean the embossing folder. I'm using a reusable kitchen towel and diluted soapy water. Now I will heat set this before doing anything else, as I want to make this layer permanent. Altenew pigment inks become permanent once you heat set them. And this is very important. The most important step in this entire video is to heat set this ink, because you touch it and the ink's gone. You will have your fingerprint there. I have my nail scratches on there because I have like very long nails right now. Take it from me, heat set it. If you want to make this darker, you can ink the folder again and run the panel again through the die cutting machine. So you can do this a couple of times, but you may want to use a fine mister with water at the back side of the cardstock just to avoid cracking. And if you have any smudges that you want to remove, you can use a moist cloth to do so before heat setting, because once it is heat set, then it becomes permanent and there's no removing of any marks. But I kind of liked that the smudges, it added to the grunginess of the panels. But again, if you don't like it, feel free to remove any extra marks. For the brushed copper cardstock, I applied Ruby Red Pigment Ink onto the beautiful Baroque 3D embossing folder, and on the left hand side, I also added a bit of Grapevine Pigment Ink. I wanted to see if it creates an ombre effect. Since we've already done one color ink, I wanted to see if we can even do the 2 color ink. So I ran it through the die cutting machine and just look at that. It looks beautiful. So beautiful, so gorgeous. It looks like it looks like fire. It's beautiful. With each panel that came out of the embossing folder, my reaction was wow. The cardstock on its own is beautiful, and when you add the pigment inks to it, it's just gorgeous. So this is where I went wrong, and I want to show you how easy this was to fix. I embossed on the wrong side first and on the wrong cardstock. I had to pick up the gold cardstock, but picked up the brushed rose instead, and instead of flipping over the embossing folder and choosing the flap that would give me more embossed and less debossed areas, I chose the opposite and ended up with a full inked panel. But guess what? Since this is a waxy cardstock, sort of, I took a reusable tissue and cleaned up all that ink without damaging the cardstock. And pigment ink, as you know, stays on the top, and it's very easy to remove. So it worked in my advantage. I was able to remove all that ink off, and I ended up with a clean panel. So I can reuse this panel whenever I want. But since I didn't need that design, I embossed another panel and applied jet black ink on the other flap of the embossing folder. Ran it through my die cutting machine and repeated this twice because I wasn't happy with the amount of ink and grunge the first time around. But look at the result I got the second time around. How beautiful does this look? It is so gorgeous. Don't forget to heat set for my last panel. Now this is magic, you guys. I will use the Daisies 3D embossing folder. I will first apply Black Pigment Ink and run it through the die cutting machine. I noticed that there was ink over the raised portions of the flowers, and I wanted to show you that you can remove this if you want to. And here I am using a kitchen towel, so tissue paper, and wrapping it around my index finger and swiping it off the petals. And this tissue is just a dry tissue. My ink spread because the folder was wet as I cleaned it up and I didn't dry it well. I will now heat set this. Then I will add Grapevine to the folder and run the panel again through the die cutting machine. This is how it looks now. Okay. So I like it. It looks really nice. But we have done the two color thing, right? And we have done the ombre thing. But I think we can add one more color to it. But first I need to dry this again, because we need to dry these layers if we want to make them permanent. Then I will apply jet black pigment ink to the folder. And this time around I didn't cover the entire folder. I just applied it randomly and then run it through my die cutting machine again. And look at how this looks now. Do you see that silvery oxidized look? How beautiful does this look? We didn't even add the silver. There's no silver here. The core of this cardstock is white. There shouldn't be a silver here, but I think the mixture of all these inks and I don't know what happened here. There's some chemical reaction. We need Amy Hill here. She would be able to explain what happened. But something happened and created this gorgeousness. It is amazing. I love it. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It looks amazing. This looks so cool. I was truly awed and I hope you liked it too. So these are the 4 panels all ready and set, and I will go over the colors once more. For the copper one, I used ruby red and grapevine. For the silver one, I used jet black. For the rose, I used jet black. For the gold, I used paperback, grapevine, and then jet black. You can also spray behind your cardstock with a fine mister plus water to avoid cracking. But I do love the look that I got even with the cracking. I have added a black mat behind all the 4 panels, and now I'm going to adhere these to the plain cream colored card bases and just pop a sentiment and keep them super simple. I hope you liked what you saw. You can make some really gorgeous cards using this Brushed Metallic Cardstock in Pigment Inks, and don't forget those gorgeous 3D embossing folders. And if you do try this technique, don't forget to tag Tasneem. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye.